Alright, y'all, so the Bezzera strega was suffering. Um, my boiler water, which comes right out of here, was it was up to like 600 parts per million, y'all. Meaning, the heater in there is probably caked with mineral deposits and stuff. So what I did was went and bought me a reverse osmosis unit. So I got the reverse osmosis hooked up down here. It's got, filters, carbon filters for the water, and then it comes up in here, hits the RO. There's an RO membrane in there. And then it's got an alkaline filter. So it remineralizes the water with some minerals that are in this filter, alkaline minerals, and then it comes up, gets filtered again, and goes into the Bezzera strega. Alright, so this here is the concentrate water. This concentrate water, this one is full. That's my storage tank. It's a 4.8 gallon tank. And the direction just says that it takes about an hour to 2 hours to fill that tank. So you're gonna have concentrate flow going that whole time. This is stopped. Alright, so I got all the water. And it took roughly, I'd say, 5 gallons. Now I've already dumped one of these and probably a half of one of these. So I'd say 10, it's probably about 12 gallons of concentrate to 4.8 gallons of that. But I also filled this tank here like 3 times already to flush it all out. And I filled my boiler probably 4 times already. So I started this adventure early in the morning, and now I'm here. So I'm going to check this out. I'm going to see where this boiler is at now as far as my boiler water. I'm going to check the parts per million on it. So that's the boiler water. Let's get some coffee water. So this is the water that will go through the heat exchanger, coming straight from the tank for my coffee. So get that one in there. And what I did was I hard piped that in. And I got a valve to shut it on and off. And I just left the tank in there so it fills up the tank instead of just being hard piped, because I don't have the plug for when you pull the tank out. You got to put a plug on it so that it doesn't backfill up into the tank. But instead of doing that, I just let it backfill into the tank, and when I'm done, I turn the water off. That way, if anything ever leaks, I don't have that hard piped in, and then if there's a leak, the water is just all over the kitchen. This way I know when I shut that valve off, there's no water going to the machine. So it's just extra comfort, peace of mind to me. And I get the best of both worlds on the hard piping. So let's get some measurements here. Let me get some water from the fridge. So the fridge isn't hooked up to the RO unit. So this will be my feed water level, whatever my feed water is coming in. Well, not really, because the fridge has a filter on it. So let's get a feed water reading. We'll just get some water straight from the faucet and see what we get as far as feed water. So this is my feed water to the RO. This is what I was putting in the tank from the fridge. Let's get the feed water first. Well, let's start with the best water. So let's start out by seeing what our permeate flow is into the tank. So we're getting 67 parts per million. That's what's coming straight from the RO into our tank. And then once we go through, this is our coffee water. It's at 121, so you still got a whole lot of minerals built up in the piping and everything, and a pump coming out in that. My boiler water is now at 167, so the boiler is cleaning up good. That was at 600 when I started this. This is what I was putting in it. So that's the fridge. The fridge water is coming out at 180. So that's my drinking water normally, and my ice. It's 188 parts per million. It's not bad water, but as it builds up in that boiler, it gets heavy. This is the feed water. Feed water is at 210 parts per million. All right, so that's the water I'm working with in the house, is 210 parts per million. I'd say it's doing a pretty good job. Couple of things on this RO. So this one, it also has a UV. The UV light, it'll just kill any kind of bacteria or anything that get through in the water. I unhooked that because I don't think I need that, not for coffee. I only got this hooked to the coffee machine because as you can see, all this permeate water, concentrate water that I was seeing coming out of there. I was like, goodness gracious, I don't need that. So I only hooked it to the RO. Now that storage tank comes set at about 7 psi. So when you first hook this thing up, you're not going to get a lot of water flow. You know, the flow is real light. But if you want to get more pressure, you take that off, and that's just like a tire pump. So if you got a bicycle pump, you pump this thing up. So it comes at 7 psi. That's what the factory charge is. The max working pressure is 100 psi. So you can pump this thing up to like 100 psi. But I've pumped mine up to 20 psi. So you put a pump on that and you can pump it up. So if I wanted to use this for the refrigerator, if I'd have just left it as is, your ice machine won't work. Nothing will work because you just don't have enough water pressure. But if I wanted to hook the fridge up, I just pump that thing up to around 35 psi, and that way I know my ice machine is gonna work for a good while. And as the pressure comes off of it, you gotta pump it up some more. But these filters and these membranes only last for, like they say, 7 to 9 months. But if I have it just hooked up to my coffee machine, I think that thing will last years, maybe about 2 or 3 years, if I'm just making a cup of coffee a day out of it. So I'm gonna leave it hooked only to the coffee machine and see what happens. But that's it, y'all. That's the now normally this concentrate flow would be hooked up to your drain, like I said, so you wouldn't see all that. Now that concentrate water is just a concentrate of, I'll show y'all what it is. So the RO, when it pulls water out of your system, it has this concentrate flow, and this is just going to be the water that's left in there. Let me show y'all how much. So it's at 288. So that's pretty much what starts happening in your boiler. That concentrate, that feed water just concentrates and concentrates until it gets up to like 600. So that right there is at 288, almost 300. So what I'm gonna do with that is just use it for plants and stuff, because that's just basically super mineral water right there now. So I keep mine and I'm gonna dump that on my plants and stuff, help them grow instead of sending it down the drain. I think that's about it, y'all. That's all I got for you. I'll update y'all on how good the coffee is with the alkaline water. If it isn't really doing anything for the taste, I'll probably bypass that alkaline filter so I can get even purer water going, and just go straight from the RO into the machine. And if it tastes good, like they say that alkaline filter makes the water taste delicious. If that's the case and it helps the coffee, hey, it's still very low part per million water, so it leaves a lot of room for the dissolved solids in the coffee to be absorbed into the water. So I'll leave it unless I don't like the taste. Then I'll just go straight RO and be super caffeinated. All right, y'all. I'm out.